Everything happens to him when he was like around 12.
Blue was fucking. Ooh, Blue was a genius. He was imagining numbers before he was born.
Whoa, whoa. Wait, wait, wait. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Fuck you.
All right, here we go.
You know you're unmuted, right, Radman?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, see honor.
I see the writing on the wall, it's plain. Ramblings of these madmen going insane. And now I see it clear. They're running and they're hiding because of fear. If I never communicate with logic, if I don't sing, if I don't speak out, if I never receive the logos. Transcendental numbers and conceptual maths will take you on a journey down a Penrose path, and you'll never see it clear. The path that you're on only ends in tears.
And we are live. I pressed the wrong button there, so that ended the Buster song a bit early. Sorry about that, everybody, if you were listening to the Buster song. We were just having a discussion about dilemmas, spelling. Welcome, everybody. That was a bit of a surprise, sorry. It is... Did I do the We Are Live? Yeah. It's Logic Night. I don't really know what to say about this because I think we're going to have to go back to actually what logic is, logos, the understanding of it. We've got... let's say the Blue Marble Science team, who definitely, as far as I'm concerned, they don't employ logic. I mean, they may say it's different logic or that we don't understand logic, but I'll just say quite clearly and plainly that it's just not logic that they're employing. So a paper came in and we do have this, we were going over this particular thing now. Let me just put it back in the chat. Oh. Wait a minute. I didn't share it out or anything. I'm all in a mess. So let me get this back again. Copy photo. Right now, this is a thing that I've just got from Twitter, and we've been talking about this. We're talking about it to the Blue Marble Science community. It is a mathematical joke. Can you see that there, paper? Everybody, we have gone over this. Now, it is a joke. It's a mathematical joke. So obviously, it's not going to be funny unless you sort of imply some humour to it. Which depends on your type of humour that you want to go with. But I think we can help turn the confusion into a little bit of an understanding of what's actually going on here. Now, this is...
Is that an imaginary side?
Yeah. Okay, but it goes a little bit deeper than that, right? Because it says a mathematical joke playing on the Pythagorean theorem and imaginary numbers. Well, obviously, the Pythagorean theorem uses real numbers, squares, in order to do it. It's a geometrical thing, the Pythagorean theorem. Whereas this is a mathematical joke. So, does anybody want to come up with like what they think might be funny about this? Because Blue's give us his interpretation. That's Blue Marble Science, the person, not the entire body of the science of the blue marble. Just the person, this one. We can go back to that in a bit. I'll give you one.
So we have
imaginary
squared.
Well, yeah, don't get caught up with that at the minute. What you've got to look at is the actual triangle, right? It's a right angle triangle. It's got the little square in the corner, so it's obviously within mathematics. That's a right angle, and a few of the things that we know about right angled triangles is that triangles have 180 degrees. Therefore, the two other angles, if one of them's 90, they both have to be less than 90. They both can't be another 90. You can't have a triangle with three 90s. It's not possible. So the largest angle of a right angled triangle is always the right angle. As such, one of the geometric rules of triangles is the largest side of the triangle will always be opposite the largest angle. Every time. It's a geometric fact that can be proved. So on this triangle, the hypotenuse, which is the one that they've got labelled 0, is the largest side of the triangle. Yet, they've got one side labelled 1, and the hypotenuse, the largest side, labelled 0. So that's a little bit of a joke, right? That's impossible. You can't have the largest side of a triangle being smaller than the other sides. Now, the other joke within this is they've got a side of a triangle labeled 0, which means it's not a side of a triangle. That's joke number 2, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you also have a negative number on one side. If you haven't mentioned that yet, I'm sorry, but and that's not a side either. Then
A negative one? No, you can't have a negative.
that's what I mean. So
Yeah.
that wouldn't be a side, just like the hypotenuse wouldn't be a side.
Well, because it's a square, isn't it? The Pythagorean theorem uses squares, and you can't have a negative square.
Correct.
That's joke number 3,
Yeah.
right? It's
You
just
can have
joke on joke on
imagination
joke.
squared.
Right, yeah.
I'm sorry if I brought that up before you wanted it brought up.
No, well, that's good. And then...
How about
Go on.
imagination squared?
Yeah,
at
that's
end
the
result?
that's the thing. That's the big joke, right? Within mathematics, there are some people that think you can counter all of those impossibilities that we've just talked about with imagination, with an imaginary number. So that's the other joke, right? The joke is that you can fix the impossible, like 3 times impossible, impossible cubed, with an imaginary number. By imagining something, you can fix impossible around geometry.
Bev, it's kind of like a five-sided joke.
It's hilarious, isn't it? It's like mathematicians are laughing at you because you can't do the impossible, and a lot of people can't even work this out because a lot of people don't know that the largest side of a triangle is opposite the largest angle. Although it sounds simple when you hear it. It's understandable, right? You can use your reasoning powers to work out that, yeah, that sounds reasonable. The largest side of a triangle would be the one opposite the largest angle. It makes sense. So that's the joke. Well, it's either that's the joke, or sometimes I think the joke might be the person that tries to explain it without telling you that it's impossible. You cannot fix impossible with imagination. It just doesn't happen, ever. And if anybody does try and tell you, that's, the joke's on them. Really?
Look at the equation, how it starts. It starts with an I, an imagination, and it ends with a 0 squared. It's like, man.
Yeah. It's hilarious. I think it's funny because it exposes mathematics and the state that mathematics has got itself into. And anybody that actually believes that they can fix this equation with their imagination and an imaginary number.
What would
Fantasy.
They think they'll end up with a solution, right? But a solution to the impossible isn't there. It can't be found. Depends how much faith you put in mathematics. Like I would have believed that mathematics was, of this all-powerful logical system that gives you all of the answers. That's where the proofs are. Yet now, with the injection of, like this shows, imagination into mathematics, people actually believe they can do things with this. They can do things with their imagination.
Sure, they tell you gravity. What is it? They show you a blackboard, like 6 feet long, 3 feet high, with equations on it. There you go. Well, that's the equations. Okay, thanks. Now I understand it better.
So does everybody understand that? That, like, you literally can't have one side of the triangle being 0. It's not possible. It stops it from being a triangle. There's no side there.
No side
It's
next
not
to
it-
imagination
No.
side. This is like the Twilight Zone. You need the music in the background.
Like we say, we here only deal in reality. And this is a joke. It's a joke because it's dealing with imagination and impossibilities. And they assume it's funny because they can end up with a 0 with imagination.
0 squared.
Yeah, like, look at the count in the chat there now. He's saying the equation is correct so far as -1 + 1 = 0. The application to a triangle is wrong. Yes, that's what we're saying. It's impossible, Count. It sort of exposes the hilarity between mathematics and imagination.
But what do you suppose the purpose for putting something like this forth is?
To
Is it
show
just
you.
to screw up people's heads, or what?
Yeah, just to show you that there are people out there that imagine that they can lord over other people about some sort of intellectual capability that they have.
Yeah.
Like Count's doing in the chat there. I mean, that's why we point out that the foundations of geometry go into logic, it being logic, right? Now, that logic is derived from a logical process. You can't have an impossibility within that logical framework. It just doesn't work. It wouldn't be there. So in the original formulation of mathematics, this imagination wouldn't have been allowed. This is imaginary, is new. Yet Blue Marble has just told us that he's been doing it for a long time. I don't know how long Blue Marble's known about imaginary numbers for. Let's have a look. Let's go back. He says, I think he was talking to Starcodder. Oh, but I guess it's chat's moving pretty fast. Oh, he's got his circuits, has he? There you go. This one here. Blue Marble says, remember how simple your life was before you learned about imaginary numbers? He's talking to Starcodder, the guy that nobody knows. The nobody that just hangs around posting gifs and stuff. He says, remember how simple your life was before you learned about imaginary numbers. You learned imaginary. If you do, tell me what it was like, because I think I've known about it forever. Blue Marble has known, this is how he is, Blue Marble Science, sorry, the person. He's of an age, he's quite old, and he's known about them forever. That's how old Blue Marble is. That's how old Blue Marble has been imagining numbers, not the real numbers that everybody else knows, the imaginary ones.
So these aren't used practically. They're only used in the pseudoscience world or pseudo-mathematical world.
Well, I've never used an imaginary number, but I'm
haven't
not,
either.
you know, like I've never studied under the tutelage of anybody in the Blue Marble science community.
And I hate to say it, but I'm probably just as old as he is. So, and I've never used an imaginary number outside of a classroom.
Did you know about imaginary numbers?
They were brought up in class. Yeah.
Were they?
Yeah, but I never really got into studying them. I don't think I went that far in math, but yeah, I know they were brought up. I think that they were told that, you know, in the, you know, the following classes after this one, if you proceeded, that you would get into the imaginary number system. Yeah. I did hear about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm taking that's like further studies, because when we keep talking about Euclid, Euclid doesn't talk about imaginary numbers. In fact, Euclid doesn't talk about any numbers. Within the quadrivium, they do a section on numbers, and I'm pretty sure that imaginary numbers weren't in that either. So
no, outside of that setting, I never even thought of imaginary numbers. So
yeah, so I mean, I don't know, not particularly clued up on imaginary. Like most of the stuff I deal with is real. I like to keep my logic numbers in the realm of reality. I don't even watch TV to, you know, sci-fi and all of that sort of stuff, really. Not too keen on acting, all of that. Not too keen on drama. So yeah, I don't know. We may have to get a Blue Marble scientist in to help us out with imaginary numbers.
Is there any supposed practical use of that? Because
Blue is saying something about electric.
Electric?
Yeah.
well, can't he come in and just, you know, brief us on this a little bit?
I think he put some sort of an equation or something. Something to do with... There you go, look. I see that one there. It's the volts. Find the combined potential difference. Simply adding VA and VB together will not work. However, we can express both voltages as the real part, x coordinate, on the Argand diagram of a complex number. And that's got I sign in there as well. So Blue's saying that you can use the I imaginary number as a relationship to the sine of an angle, I think. I mean, that's good. Blue will be able to explain that. Oh, he said, but in electric circuit design, we usually call it J. Blue Marble science, it's all about this imaginary shit. I mean, did you hear last night when he was talking about defining squares? He's been on about it again today. He says he can define squares as differently.
Yeah,
He can.
3, 4, or 5 sides.
Yeah. Blue can literally define shapes that everybody else knows. I probably presume it's got something to do with these imaginary numbers, or Blue Marble's imagination, at least. He might have expanded imaginary numbers into an imaginary geometry, like imaginometry. He might have picked it up from somewhere, but like we've already actually sorted imaginometry for them. It's one of the best fully described non-Euclidean geometries there is. It has axioms, it has postulates, it has definitions. It's got it all. It's got way more than any other non-Euclidean geometry you've ever seen. But I think that's the key that we've got to get to understand is this. I don't know whether I can't just say it's blue because it's not. It's the scientific community, the blue marble scientists that frequent Discord. They're the ones that we're mainly used to. Although I'll go anywhere to talk to any blue marble scientists anywhere. I think any discussion or conversations are going to be of use, particularly within my understanding of the logical process and how mathematics was derived from real logic. Aristotelian logic was the forerunner for the mathematical system. And science as well, as that matter, right? The gaining of knowledge can be gained, I think, best through the geometric system and the understanding of this logic. That's how I would say is the best way to get yourself some knowledge, is to have this reasoning process and have it fine-tuned. So it works quicker. You just want to up the speed on your processor. So all you really need is this logical process, and then to refine it for yourself. It doesn't need much learning. Once you've learned the basics, you do it yourself. As they say, you get liberated by yourself. By your knowledge, your ability to gain knowledge about any subject, really. But there's not much imaginary into it. There's not much to imagine. That was left in the hands of the poets, the playwrights. People.
No, they have no imagination now at all. They have given their mind has exploded. They've given their mind. Now it's all suggestions, all given and accepted facts. There's no imagination for them anymore. They just, they imagine what they're told to imagine. Let's put it that way.
Well, they've literally put the imagination into their mathematical framework. There's no need for them to imagine. They can use their imagination within the mathematical framework. They use their imagination within the debate scenario. They use their imagination all the time. They even use shadow giants' imaginations as a part of their proof-giving network. It's slightly different than actual logic. I guess. Go on.
I was gonna say, I guess in a way you're right, because when they do sophistry, right, it does take imagination. So maybe they do both. Maybe they imagine what they're told to imagine, and then they add some of their own in there. Yeah, it's crazy. Like they're given a story. That story comes with imagination. Like if you can believe 96% of what is out there, they don't know, but they make a story around the rest of it and they incorporate that into it. I mean, if you can convince somebody of that, then anything goes, I think. Imagine you go to the doctor and he tells you, you know what, you need an operation. I'm 96% sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's one of the words that I've learned to cut out for myself, really. The imagine. The imaginings.
I
Yeah,
was
when I saw, was that somebody trying to talk? Sorry, I
go
cut
go
over.
go on. I will jump later.
I was gonna say this because it blew my mind. I was watching a thing on. I'll make it fast. I was watching a thing on the American boot camp. You know, when you join the army and you go to the boot camp. And one thing struck in my mind when the drill sergeant told the group of people as soon as they got off the bus, he says, "Listen, you're in the army now." To words to that effect. You don't think. You don't do anything. We're gonna do the thinking for you. We're gonna tell you what to think, where to go, what to do. Like this, like complete and utter breakdown. And I was saying, look at that. That's what they've done to society without telling him that, you know, through television and schooling and whatever. Yeah.
I'll just say, in the naval boot camp, that didn't happen.
Really?
Yeah, they never confronted us that way. No, they made
The
us do
drill
all
sergeant.
they made us do all kinds of crazy shit for sure, but they never told us, you know, they just forget everything and, you know, we're not your mother and all that shit like they did. And I know what you're talking about. I saw that movie, but yeah, I didn't experience that in boot camp. No.
No, it wasn't a movie. It was a documentary. They were following the recruits. Maybe it was just a show. I don't know, or maybe a different. I think this was the.
It could be different in the Marines or the Army or something like that. But I'm
Yeah.
saying in the naval boot camp, that didn't happen.
Okay, because I was like, I never forget those words, man. You don't think. You don't. We're gonna tell you what to think, when to think, how to think.
Yeah,
Whenever we tell you something, we're gonna show you how to do it, when to. Like, oh man, I was
that
saying,
is
yeah,
done,
I
but
got
it's
it.
not done. It's not done verbally. It's done through the actions of getting you up at 3 a.m. You know, going into the kitchen, prepping for breakfast, marching, standing in line, standing at attention. That's what actually does it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know, stuff like that. But I'll tell you, want to hear something weird? I was 17 years old when I joined in 1971. When I got to boot camp, got off the bus, the company commander grabbed me and put me in charge of the platoon. 30 guys. I was 17 years old. I never told anybody what to do in my life, and he gave me that responsibility. Don't ask me why. I have no idea, but it freaked me out.
I bet.
It was an immediate upgrade from E1 to E2. That was the only benefit I got. A little more
Blue
pay.
says it didn't happen in the army
Army.
either. So
Was Blue in
maybe
the
it was
army?
just a documentary.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Blue was in the army. Yeah, definitely.
Who outranks who? Who's the top man? Is that Bob?
I think Bob had
Bob's
a white
got
hat.
the best
so
hat.
He was captain, I think.
Nice.
But I don't know Blue's rank, so I can't really say. It wasn't a movie, Blue. It was a documentary. I just watched it like a couple of weeks ago, actually.
Well, I'm following on from the square thing because it's logic night. So what we did yesterday, we went over a little bit of the blue marble geometry. It's definitely not Euclidean. It's a not Euclidean geometry, the geometry of the blue marble. Told to us by Blue Marble. And now, Blue Marble said that you could have a square with 3, 4, or 5 sides. Now, I do think he said on the surface of a sphere, you can have a square with 3, 4, or 5 sides. But that goes to what Betty was talking about here. I'll put this a bit bigger so everybody can see it. So, Betty makes a comment on the well, he likes to document these things. He likes to like a bit of an intern. He puts it so. He says, he quotes things. He likes to lay things out. He quotes Rumpus. Rumpus says, "Do the points of equal elevation on the Earth form a plane?" Like the Earth is little e, so he means the ground, and equal elevation form a plane. And I say, he puts Bev, and then in inverted commas, like, yes, because that was my reply. That was it. That's all. The only comment he makes is to document what was actually said, like the transcript. He likes to pick out important points, right? So that was a saying, a question that Rumpus asked that I answered. You can see quite clearly. Perhaps that's what Betty's doing. Perhaps he's pointing out that we do actually answer direct questions whenever asked them with the simple answer. And then we go on to clarify that with statements to back up why we've said that. So I'll do that in a bit. And I reply back to Betty. I'd say the same to anyone. Can you remember Rumpus saying that no one has contested that fact? It's logic night tonight. So the idea, basically what we're talking about here is that the plane of equal elevation would give rise to this square that we're talking. Now, whether the entire plane is horizontal, like an auto level, say for instance, the tool that establishes a horizontal plane of reference, that tool is where you measure change of the land from that reference frame, the horizontal plane that you've set up with the tool. You measure a difference of the land. Now, if you were to have the land at an equal elevation, it would be measured at the same distance from the horizontal plane that is set up by the auto level. Therefore, same distance from a horizontal plane would be another horizontal plane. It's what you call parallel planes. The tool, the auto level, would detect a zero change. Therefore, all of the points on an equal elevation lie on a plane that is parallel to the horizontal plane established by the tool, the level. Now, that plane, it is what's necessary for a square to have four equal sides, straight sides, with the diagonals also being equal, the opposite sides being parallel, the diagonals intersecting at the center to form right angles again, another four right angles right in the center, four right angles at the corners. Commonly knows, everybody knows that it's a square. That's what a square is. It's never any different than that four-sided shape, because that's a square. The logic that derives the geometry derives a square is a square. Everybody knows what a square is, right? So anybody telling anybody that a square was anything different than a square surely wouldn't be employing any type of logic system. They would be like it'd be like they'd be gaslighting, trying to deceive you by telling you that a square could be anything other than a square. Just wouldn't be part of a logical system. But it seems like we've got a group of people that keep coming in here. They're in here all the time recently, trying to tell us that they have a science. They're scientists, and what they can do is they can science using the power of the blue marble. They can science a square to have either less sides than 4 or more sides than 4. They literally think they can do that. And I'm thinking they can do that with the power of this imagination that they have. They seem to employ within the scientific method of the blue marble this imaginary method that they can imaginarily derive impossible things. But then they can also use that scientific prowess that they have to tell you that you're stupid. That's the bit that I don't like. The bit that where they try and tell you that you're not clever enough because you can't imagine squares being different than squares. That's where I have to put my finger down and say, well, I'm a traditionalist. I'm not going with this newfangled mathematics and newfangled imaginary logic. This new science, modern day science, made up by people in Discord channels. So we're not having that. Go on.
I would say that it's not only about imagination, because traditional meaning of this word is, of course, from image. So image has to be of reality in first place. So if they are saying that they can imagine, for example, square with 3 sides, they are not telling the truth, because you cannot literally imagine that in your mind. Even it is even worse, because if you learned in school that square has 4 sides and equal angles, 90-degree angles, then you are automatically creating this square in your mind. After you learned that in school, I think that most of people would imagine square as that. Or, for example, if you tell someone to draw a square, there would be no problem to draw a square on a piece of paper, because everybody knows how to draw the square. But if they are saying that they can imagine, for example, square with 5 sides, I would say that they are just lying. They are not telling the truth, because you cannot imagine, in fact, that kind of thing. What they are doing, they are only changing definition, let's say. So they are calling triangle square and square pentagon or whatever. They are changing names. This is very old lie, changing definition at will.
That's, definitional swap, isn't it?
Yes.
Paralogisms, like there's a definitional change within paralogisms. That's one of the paralogisms that you can derive a false conclusion because of your misunderstanding within the definitions.
Yes, if you can have squares having the same number of sides like triangle, it means that many people could be unaware, people could be disoriented, because it means that you can have 3-sided squares and three-sided triangles. Therefore, you cannot discern between triangles and squares, which is obviously not true because I think that vast majority of humankind can discern between triangles and squares. But in that imaginometry, you will be not able to discern between triangle and square, and so on. Of course, if they would convince you that it is possible, but within definition, given definition, it is impossible, because if a triangle, triangle has definition in its name, three angles. So you cannot have three angles in square, because in square you have four. So the name is wrong automatically. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's definitely not allowed in the other worlds theory of imagination to go into different places. You can imagine somebody's got green pants on, maybe blue, but you can't imagine that a circle is a square, because a circle has a definition within geometry. It's very well defined. You cannot do that sort of shift within the other worlds theory. It's not allowed.
Yes. So and for me, it is just impossible to imagine.
Yeah.
Like you cannot imagine unicorn. You can imagine something in your head and say that this is unicorn, but this is not image of anything, but your fantasy. So I would say that this is rather a fantasy, not imagination per se, because in imagination you are always referring to something what you have seen. You have to have some experience with shapes, to see shapes like squares or circles or lines or whatever. If you haven't got any that kind of experience, you cannot imagine that. So it is impossible. Therefore, I think that they are just lying. If they say that they can imagine, I would say that they are lying. Just it. That it's just me.
I think they go beyond saying that you can just imagine it. I think they actually think that squares can have these. Like they very much believe within their new science. They're on board with it. They have faith enough for them to think that it's real. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not a blue marble scientist. Hopefully we might end up with some of them coming in on, maybe Mondays is a good day, maybe Fridays, but this Friday it's Thanksgiving, I think, in America, so don't know whether the
Thursday Thanksgiving.
I know. I did say to Blue that it would be good for us to do the level is horizontal debate on Friday, but he said it's Thanksgiving weekend and he'll be busy, I think, so fair enough. But the level is horizontal debate will be happening. And yeah, blue marble is, it goes along with what Rumpus was saying earlier about the circle being the square being the triangle, just with different amounts of angles. Like the circle has 360, the triangle has 540, and the square has 720. I think that was the way Rumpus was explaining it.
How did we forget that? Somebody
Yeah.
made a circle comment. What was that? Just before, that it has a side or something, or you remember that?
Well, I don't know. I said they'd be better off. Blue Marble would be better off just using the all-encompassing Dornagon.
Yeah, but there was a stupid comment made before you said that. I can't remember it. It had something to do with a circle and a side. A circle and a side. I can't remember. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we might have to start compiling all of these bits. So if anybody wants to go back over them to try and find out where Rumpus did the circle, square, triangle thing. A great circle that can be a square and a triangle, just with the addition of extra angles within it. Fantastic thinking. But I think that's where Blue's getting this from, is, you know, he imagines there's a backing for whatever he's talking about. And again, we've had it in here. Blue's been in the Discord nearly all day, hasn't he? On and off, but
Yeah.
he's definitely, you know, there was another dude that used to do that. Sort of ended up, became obsessed. Kept leaving and then coming back again. Falling into these deep obsessions. I hope he's all right, Blue.
Blue's fine. He thinks we're crazy, so he's good.
Yeah, well, he comes in here to, you know, to chat. These thoughts, these Blue Marble science thoughts, he has to sort of pass them on. I'm not taking them. It sounds ridiculous, far too ridiculous for my liking, but
We have to accept that Blue Marble science and science is not compatible. Just have to accept that.
yeah, it does seem like that we've been living in this realm where gaslighters like to come, and I don't know what they get out of it either. Why they imagine that they have to keep coming over and saying what I consider to be ridiculous shit. But that in turn helps me learn, because I go back and understand. I try and understand what made them say that stupid shit. What was at the heart of it? Why would they ever do that? What put them in the position to say something so ridiculous? And then they have to come back and tell us that it's not ridiculous, but it obviously is.
Because they were taught that. They paid good money to be taught that. So how dare you question it?
Do you think, though? Do you think that they were taught that? Or within the Discord setting? Because, I mean, this can't be where Blue Marble scientists come. They can't, like, go to school, college, learn about the Blue Marble science, and then all meet up on Discord. And then go, well, we're going to have to go out there and spread the word of Blue Marble science to all of these people that didn't actually learn Blue Marble science. And then go around different Discord servers or wherever they go, YouTube chats, maybe Twitter or whatever, and express their, preach their sermons of globe. Selling globes to people that may not have heard that squares can have 3, 4 or 5 sides. right? You could just be a normal person that's never heard of this particular branch of science that they've just made up.
It's too freaking funny, man.
Goes into the realms of geometry to start. I mean, as far as I know, there's no other branch of natural science anyway that tries to dictate different geometric systems with it, or different logical systems within the processing, within the reasoning. There's only this one. If there is any others, Blue might not be listening. I think he's talking to you.
Oh, he's listening. Yeah. He's listening.
Yeah, but he's talking to you in the chat about the army stuff.
Yeah.
He's not going to let us know whether, like, do they get like a commission for as many people that they bring in, like on a pyramid scheme?
You mean the recruiters?
I think. Well, I mean, what else is Blue doing here? He's obviously trying to sell this.
He's getting recruit. How do you call them? He's trying to get recruits, fresh recruits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need new blood within their movement. I mean, that's what they do. They have to go out and spread the word of blue marble science to people that don't know. And obviously it comes as a bit of a shock. You can't normally go straight with the, did you know squares have 3, 4 or 5 sides within blue marble science? Because that's a bit much, isn't it, for people to take straight off the bat?
Not for starters, for sure.
Yeah. And then, like, you'd have to follow that up with, you just don't understand squares, as we've been told by the blue marble scientists.
See, I don't get that. That's illogical. I could understand, let's say you're good in math, right? And somebody sells you a story, dark matter, and you say, come on, you're kidding me. And then he shows you a mathematical formula, right? And you look at it, that makes, you might be fooled by the mathematical formula. But to somebody to convince you that a square can have 3 sides or 5 sides, I mean, come on.
He's a truther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, squares having 4 sides is so 2,300 years ago. It's like back in the days of Euclid. Like they keep saying. They say, do you imagine that mathematics hasn't progressed or geometry hasn't progressed since those times? I think that's what they mean. Like, within this new blue marble science, they've progressed geometry to the point that squares can have 3, 4 or 5 sides.
I think that they think that this is progression of science.
Yeah.
So evolution of science.
Has to be.
But in fact, this is my conspiratory theory, is that they, since they cannot imagine what they are saying they can, they are just swapping definitions. And like this guy, Rob Perks, that they can have contradictory definitions, because, of course, if a triangle can have 3 sides and 4 sides, why not? Or square, it doesn't matter. I think they want to achieve that goal. What I think it was Ruchif or who said that definitions are meaningless. I think their goal is to make words and definitions meaningless, just gibberish.
Well, yeah, but then they would want to hold the power of the words Because they've already
Yes.
started doing that. Like, you don't understand this and you don't understand that. I'm the one with the correct words.
Yes, and they will swap. For example, here is Tuesday. On Tuesday, a square will have 3 angles. And on Wednesday, it will have 4. And on Friday, it will have 5.
Yeah,
So-
but then also, Thursday could be Friday.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And Friday
So
could be Wednesday.
So you will have to listen very closely, Big Brother, what he says today. Yes.
Everybody knows that Thursday is the opposite of Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, there will be a mathematical formula for you to find out what day it is. But they're literally coming over here, preaching, I think. They're telling us we should have as much faith as they do within their shadow giants, because I'm pretty sure Blue didn't make this up, that that squares can have 3, 4 or 5. Somebody must have told Blue this, right? Somebody's put this idea in Blue's head and Blue has taken it on as a truth. This is a paralogism that Blue's developed. Blue is the first person that told me that squares can have 3, 4 or 5 sides. And
Not me.
it came about because we heard a conversation. I think it was Bullet Bill. They were talking
the
about
one.
a square having 5. Yeah, but they didn't say that a square could have 3, 4 or 5.
No,
They-
3 is blues all
Yeah.
the way. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, Blue's gone for all 3 of them together.
Well, yeah. What the heck? Since we already had 4 and 5, he's not
Yeah.
going to leave them behind.
Yeah.
He just added
Did-
one more for
Yeah,
himself.
you have to go one better, right? Blue had to beat them. He had to top the other guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, n minus 1 and n minus 1 minus 1. Plus, you also have n minus 2 minus 1 sides. All different options.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that for the dimensions that you're being in, or is that for you counting the number of
Whatever you
sides?
It's whatever you want. It's your imagination.
But it's a square. You can't have 1. Or could you? I mean, who knows? It's a question for the blue marble scientists out there. Can you have a square with sides 1?
Actually,
Or
well,
one
I
side?
promise-
A one-sided square is within the framework of the blue marble science. Is a one-sided square possible?
There was one guy, I won't mention his name because I promised him, he pulled it back. There was one guy that said we can have a one-sided triangle. But then he thought about it and he took it back during the same conversation.
Well, 3 sides joined together by 180 degrees, similar as a square. That's sort of a one-sided.
A one-sided triangle.
Yeah. Yeah, and Rumpus helped Blue with that one. The mental imagery of it, anyway.
Don't tell me Blue said a one-sided triangle as well. No, I don't think so. Not Blue. I'm talking about somebody else.
I like that, heretic. A tripotenuse. The
Which
side
means-
opposite the right angle.
Tripotenuse.
Yeah, that's the 3-sided square. Each
Yeah.
of the sides are tripotenuses. You've got 3 hypotenuses
They're all the
making a
same.
square. Only a blue marble science square. But that is good, that. Yeah, try Potternews. Thank you very much. They're all welcome. Good times. No doubt, within the times to come, once they start doing their presentations on how all of this stupid shit is possible, it will become clear just how ridiculous it is. Because we did write it in Imaginometry. You should never try to express Imaginometry on paper or anything like that, because that is the realm of Euclidean geometry. That's where Euclidean geometry exists. This stuff
Yes.
that the blue marble science does is just not.
That's why I objected against the word imagination, because generally what you can imagine, you can draw. So if, for example, Blue says that he can have 5 square, he should draw it on piece of paper. If he can imagine that, then he can draw it. So he should show this 5-sided square on piece of paper. I would say that this is completely impossible. Never will happen.
Just looking for the part in here. Where I put within Imaginometry. Yeah, I'll get that anyway. Yeah, so this is the Imaginometry page. If you want to read, which I say is perhaps one of the best formed non-Euclidean geometric things, it might give you an idea of how to understand Euclidean geometry through like a reductio ad absurdum framework. Sort of a comedic look, but it might be helpful for certain people.
Yes, to look at it and to see absurdity of this.
Yeah.
That's why this is funny.
The whole point of Imaginometry is to make you aware that you can't bring this Imaginometry into reality. Reality is the realm of Euclidean. And Euclidean geometry very well describes the 3 dimensions that we live in. There's no room for any extra angles. It's in there somewhere. We'll go over it at some point. I see, that's where the equipotential angle of adjustment is wrote there. That's what Blue Marble will be using within his Imaginometry of his understanding. Right, okay. I'll put it back on the Discord. Oh. Why is the Streamlabs Ultra is here? Wow. Close. Oh. So Logic Night. Trying to let people know very soon your minds are going to be under attack from a bunch of claimed to be scientists with a presumed intellect going round telling people that they don't understand things. Now, these things that you will be told that you don't understand are actually not understandable. They're beyond the realms of normal logic. Well, not that there is anything other than logic to derive anything in reality, right? You need to employ logic. And within that lies the problem. That logic is how we derive proofs. And if you're being told you don't understand something that is outside of the realms of that logic, then you have no framework to be able to understand it. Because understanding comes through you trying to gain knowledge. Through experience, you gain understanding.
Proof or demonstration. So they haven't got any of this. So they leave you in this belief, which is based on nothing, because even normal belief, like you can believe someone is saying about things, some belief is involved, but you can somehow be able to verify that. So this belief is not pure belief, but that kind of pseudo knowledge is based on nothing. So you are on your own. You cannot process logically that what you learned. You can only believe or pretend to believe. I don't know, but no knowledge from that.
Faith.
You can, yes, only pure faith.
Yeah.
Yes, without any basis of experience, logic, and I would say some kind of reasoning. Nothing.
Yeah, that is what we've experienced in here just recently over the last couple of days since the Blue Marble scientist community decided to descend on us. This is led by, I think, Blue Marble Science because of this debate. I'm not too sure how it started, but Blue has become increasingly obsessed. I think it might have started off with Mobius. I think Blue Marble might have started off being obsessed with Mobius because he did have that conversation where he gave us the giggle tell. When you go back now, you can listen to that. You'll be able to hear it in a lot of conversations.
Yes, he giggles when he literally cannot answer the question, or to explain something. Yes, so when he's stuck.
And he's in aporia. When he reaches that position. And we did have this morning, let's see, did I we had another. Here we go. Right now, the guy who is cursed with a high IQ, that I said I felt sorry for him. Right now, he posts this thing that he's got here from an engineering 360 company. And I said, can you not see the contradiction? Because I was explaining this to my son as well. So we've got this. This is a logical statement. Feels we have to go over these sort of things first. It's a very simple logic statement. Probably one of the first things that you understand to get this process working. Mental process. So we have, if A equals B and B equals C, and then it says which statement must be true. That's the logical statement. If A equals B and B equals C, the common term would be B, but you are linking both A and C to being equal to B. So therefore you can say A equals C. That's a logical reasoning process.
Yes, normal
Yeah.
syllogism.
And that's
So
probably like the one that everybody gets taught first, right? That one.
Yes, that's clear. Middle term is B.
Yeah.
Because it is in the middle of A and C.
Yeah. It's one of the most basic concepts, right? So we'll go back to this. Now, this is a engineering 360 thing that Cursed with a high IQ brought in for us to look at. So I'll go over this. Leveling, right? Benchmark. They're just terms used in geometry, in surveying. But this is where it comes in now. We've got a vertical line follows the direction of gravity. So we've got vertical being gravity. Now, Blue Marbles told me this as well. Vertical, plumb, zenith, gravity. All the same. They equal the same. They are the same thing. A horizontal line is perpendicular to the vertical line. The relationship between horizontal and vertical is perpendicular. We know that. We understand that. That makes perfect sense to everyone. So that's good. Is that Rob?
Yep. I got
Okay.
no mic, so I'll just be listening.
Okie dokie.
I got no headset.
Welcome. So we've got vertical and horizontal both being straight lines perpendicular to each other. Vertical being the direction of gravity. I'll add the other ones in for blue, zenith and plumb. Then it says level surface is a curved surface which has every point perpendicular to the direction of gravity. Well, we go back to the other one. The horizontal line is perpendicular to vertical, and vertical is the direction of gravity. So from that, I would say level is the same as horizontal.
Yes, and it means that vertical line follows the direction of course, but horizontal line is defined as being perpendicular to vertical line. It means that verticals are parallel.
Yeah.
In this frame, from these two statements, I can infer that vertical lines are parallel. From these two, let's say, definitions, it follows that vertical lines are parallel because they are perpendicular to horizontal. And
Yeah, I was just
horizontal-
talking mainly about the fact that the level surface is every point perpendicular to the direction of gravity is your C. You can link that as being the same, right? Both horizontal and level are perpendicular to vertical / gravity. They're both
Yes,
the
yes.
same.
Yes, I was leading to that horizontal line is straight line. Vertical lines are therefore parallel to each other because if they are perpendicular, they have to be parallel to each other, vertical lines. And it means that level has to be straight line because if not, this third sentence doesn't make any sense. So if the direction of gravity to the center of the Earth is straight and perpendicular, it is okay. But if they say that the surface is curved surface, so level is curved, it doesn't follow from horizontal line is perpendicular. From this sentence doesn't fit here.
Well, you see, I think this is one of those little mathematical tricks that they can do. Mathematically. They can say that every line is a curved line. Just that a horizontal line or a straight line has zero curve. They'll put it at the bottom end of the curve spectrum. They'll put them on the curved spectrum just with a zero amount. Because obviously, level within that framework, when you're talking mathematically, saying perpendicular, you're saying it's straight. But for some reason, they seem adverse to saying straight. So they have to say curved. You cannot have a curved surface which is perpendicular. Perpendicular literally means straight.
Yes, but even if they are trying to do that trick that this is curvature with a zero curvature, it is still contradiction because curvature with zero curvature is not curvature. So
New
because
mathematics.
zero means not having curvature. So this is curvature with having no curvature.
Yeah.
This is contradiction in terms.
But that's very blue marble sciencey, isn't it?
Yes, contradiction in terms, yes.
You build your contradictions into what you're talking about. Then if whenever you're talking about it, you can always say to people, well, you don't understand it. Because it can't be understood. There's contradictions everywhere. They build them into it. So this is what the guy who's cursed with an high IQ brought us today. A literal contradiction in terms that you're meant to get confused by, I presume, within the argumentation process. I mean, it doesn't prove anything. just you showing people these contradictory terms. You're going to have to try harder than that, but... What's that, Blue? Blue's put, a level has to be a straight line, even though it isn't. But it is, because the head on the level dialetheist has said make it so. The head on the level... Oh, right. It's straight, Blue. It's perpendicular.
There is no perpendicularity to curved line.
Yeah. You can't have perpendicular to the direction of gravity. If gravity's vertical, then perpendicular to that vertical is horizontal. You can't just say it's curved level. You can't say it's the same as horizontal, but we're going to call it a curved level. Doesn't make any sense. That makes it the same as horizontal. It's an equals. If A is equal to B, B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. You could probably do it in a few more steps or less steps. Who knows? But that, again, this is coming on the back of Blue Marble Science having the debate about level and horizontal. Yeah, this is definite model affliction. Whoever wrote this engineering, powered by Global Spec, Engineering 360 reference library. That's, again, this is modern day paralogisms being handed out to people. I don't know where this guy's found this from. Might be an Indian website. Might be one of the ones that Ruhif found when we were looking for his saying when we said to him, look, it says here in the manuals that an auto level does not measure angles, vertical angles. He then sent an email, started chatting with the guy that designed the website to try and change it.
I'm curious why in this engineering 360 there is word hence. It means that therefore a level line is a line in a level surface, hence is a curved line.
Yeah.
It doesn't follow because in previous sentence it is stated that level surface is a curved surface. It means without any, let's say, backing.
The curved surface comes first before the line. Backwards, isn't it?
Yes. So level surface cannot be from curved surface. So it doesn't make any sense because you are making level above the surface. So curved surface cannot define shape, let's say, shape of the level. So, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It cannot be understood. This is, I'd say, pure sophistry, but I don't think the guys that get, well, I mean, he is cursed with a high IQ that gave us this. But, I mean, yeah, there you go. If that's where you want to go with, and, I mean, people always told me that you can't define things which is what they seem to have. There's no evidence of this. I mean, it doesn't even make sense logically. You can have every point perpendicular to the direction of gravity, and the direction of gravity is vertical, so perpendicular to vertical is horizontal. Level is horizontal. That's the conclusion that you can come to. Now, it says here curved surface. Well, horizontal has zero curve. So if you can have a curved surface with zero curve, that sounds a little bit ridiculous, but maybe that's what Blue's thinking about.
And with every point perpendicular, and this is pure nonsense. There are no perpendicular or not perpendicular points, or acute points, or wide points.
Round points.
Yes, whatever points. So every point perpendicular, this is wrong wording, completely nonsensical wording. Point cannot be perpendicular.
Yeah, I think it's been wrote by a blue marble scientist, this.
Seems like that, yes.
Yeah. And when I say blue marble scientist, I mean an extremely confused individual that's struggling with actual logic to come up with something that sort of could be misunderstood by certain people. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Cursed with a high IQ is either he's took this on and thinks that it can actually be true. Maybe one of his curses that he can't see contradictions. His IQ might be that high that he's cursed that he cannot see contradictions, or he may be cursed with such a high IQ that he has to, and he knows that he can't actually go with anything to do with his model and geometry, that he has to push paralogisms on his unsuspecting lower IQ people than him. Hard to tell.
Sometimes people with so-called very high IQ, they are drawn, they are going into details, and they cannot see bigger but more simple picture. So sometimes it may be the curse of that high IQ people, that they cannot see whole picture, but they are just thinking in many details, and then they cannot see that in whole picture it is contradiction.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that have this really high IQ, they're that far beyond that they cannot see the simplicity of the foundations of where they're meant to be starting. They've gone so far beyond that they've forgotten about the foundations and the framework. And they think that they can undo that foundational work and start building higher by taking away the foundations. They don't need the foundations, when in actual fact, for the framework of your understanding, the first principles where you start off are of the most importance. They're the foundations of the entire mathematical structure, derived from geometry derived from logic. Logic forms the geometry, and geometry is the truth that's left of all logic. obviously the mathematics, if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. That's mathematical in its structure, but it's logical statement. And you can use that logical statement to impart other things. Well, when you impart straight lines within that mathematical structure, you end up with geometry, and it can't be faulted. Geometry is what's left after the sophists try and do their best to logic. Geometry is what survives. Cannot be blemished by a sophist, because there are literal proofs within it. It backs itself axiomatically and in reality. Blue marble scientists have to denounce that. Misologists, the lot of them. So always look for little inconsistencies when you're given anything from a blue marble scientist. Trust them at your peril. Always be skeptical of any information given to you from a blue marble scientist. Well, from anyone, really. Try and work these things out for yourself. Don't just take the words of others. Don't take the words of shadow giants. You may be given or being given a paralogism. Always check for yourself. Make sure. Use logical processes. Use logic more. And also use the trivium more within the use of the words. Because within this, said right at the beginning, one of the most important words you'll ever hear is perpendicular. That's very specific word. That means it's geometrically derived. And all you need is 2 points. And from that 2 points, you can understand what exactly perpendicular is. Within the geometric structure, you can form a perpendicular once you have those 2 points. You all right, Blue? Wait a minute. What were we waiting for?
But still, perpendicular always refers to lines, straight lines.
It has to.
So if this guy is talking about point, so it is he's just erasing the whole sentence because it doesn't make any sense. This is false statement.
Yeah, Blue. Euclidean geometry is entirely logical. It's got a logical structure. It's a logical framework. It's built up of definitions, i.e. terms. Then you have the axioms, the self-evident truths, the stuff that you build your framework upon, the rules that you are going to imply for every step that you make. And then you start making your propositions and statements. And then you actually prove those things within the theorems. You describe, you show, you display the proof. Physically, you make the proof for yourself. It's logical system, Blue. That's why we use Euclid. It shows people how to use logic in an understandable way. It's much more than a geometry. It's an instruction manual for how to properly use logic to find a proof. Sort of a guide. Once you have that formulation and that structure, then you can take that out into the rest of your life, the rest of the world, and try and get as close as you can to those logical structures, logical framework into everything. Once you have the understanding of what Euclidean geometry can help you with logically, I don't know why you have a problem with it. Just because you don't like logic, Blue, you're misologists. There's a lot of logical people. My son's got Asperger's, and logic is one of the best ways for me to be able to communicate with him. It makes sense. He can reason that sort of stuff for himself. So yeah, logic has helped tremendously. So that's why we use Euclid, Blue, within this. I mean, I know we have a Euclid night on Thursday, but like I have been saying for a bit, that all of these days are going to start blending together. Euclid, logic, trivium, they're all much of the same sort of thing. It's the idea is to talk and discuss about these things, because most of my learning, the big learning that's come over the last few years, has come with the aid of the people that are here and the discussions around this logic, around the geometry, around finding proofs within reality, linking all of this stuff together. And it gives you a firm understanding, firm footing. Gives you a confidence to be able to go into discussions or whatever. Once you have a proof for yourself, at least you know how you got it. And if anybody has to knock that proof, they have to at least come up with something that it could be better to knock that proof off. Obviously, if they managed to knock it off, it wasn't a proof in the first place, and therefore you should re-evaluate what your logical system was and how you derived that proof that you thought was a proof that obviously wasn't a proof. It was then a paralogism. But we will find out, hopefully, through discussion. We've been trying to talk to the Blue Marble Science, but Blue Marble Science community, sorry, not the person. We have talked to Blue Marble Science, but it gets difficult because the logical framework that we have isn't shared, and there doesn't seem to be a common ground that we can ever get to. When we started this, the idea was to come to a common ground that we could all agree on, and therefore we can start building up again with that common ground. Now, the only place you can go where you might be able to think that you could have a common ground was within the advanced simplicity, was taking it back and back and back, and we ended up at a straight line with the hopes that everybody could understand what a straight line is. It turns out that's not really possible with the Blue Marble Science community. They seem to have a differing understanding of what a straight line is. It's tricky. Very tricky. when you can't talk to somebody about what a straight line is, you're never going to have a formulation of an understanding of a framework where you can build up and talk as though you're talking to people about similar things. But the problem within this is that perpendicular necessarily needs a straight line, one straight line, 2 points, the shortest distance between those 2 points. You can then form a perpendicular with the use of a straight line. And that's one of the most intrinsic things that there is that those 2 points form what you would call a vesica Pisces. The vesica Pisces is formed perpendicular. The points of the vesica Pisces are perpendicular to the original straight lines, the 2 points, forming across a perpendicular. Everybody knows what it is. There's 4 right angles there. All of those right angles are equal. These are the axioms that are derived from these 2 points, i.e. a straight line. But that's a conversation that blue marble scientists find tricky. The geometric straight line, because you say, I don't think there's any way to science that straight line. It's sort of self-evident, but it is wrote within the definitions of geometry, Euclidean geometry. Now, Euclidean geometry, when you start talking about a straight line, Euclid didn't write that. Who decides what a straight line is? Truth is, nobody decides it. It's already there. It just is. Everybody knows what a straight line is. Yet, a certain group of scientists struggle with that perpendicularity, the perpendicular relationship that occurs once you have a straight line. And of course you can have a straight line.
And by the way, Euclid wasn't inventor of straight line.
No.
Because some people think that he invented straight line. No, he just defined in his way. But the definition was formulated, for example, by Plato before him.
But it just is, though, isn't it? You know,
yes,
like
yes.
it is, and it's how you choose the rhetoric in order to portray the point that you want to try and make about something that is obviously self-evident.
Yes, yes. Correct.
Yeah. I find this is one of the things that has kept me within this arena is finding geometry, step one. Finding the people that we have here, building the friendships, and finding that there were people that seemed to struggle about straight lines. Now they're seriously, they're the ones that have kept me intrigued. They've kept me working towards this advanced simplicity, to break things down, to make it more simple, to make it more understandable, make it easier to understand. The rhetoric, thank you, Raven, for bringing the trivium to us, because the rhetoric has helped me use words more correctly. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the logical process that's been given. And I'm thankful for the people that can help us talk about this sort of thing. And I'm also thankful for the people that caused us to do this. I'm sure there's a lot of people, most people that are here in this room, they wouldn't be here if somebody hadn't have made them think, that's fucking stupid. And you're telling me I don't understand it? Well, yeah, I don't think I do understand it. I don't think it can be understood. It's just ridiculous. I can't understand why they're saying it. And that's why I'm still here. It's fascinating.
I would say that this is fruitful if you can hear some ridiculous statement about straight line, for example, because to refute that fallacy, you have to look in other way on that straight line, and you can learn more about straight line.
That's it, isn't it?
Through fallacy.
Yeah. Advanced simplicity, right? The more you break this down to find a simpler, the more you learn about it. The different ways you can talk about this simple concept. I find it fascinating. I find the depth in simplicity is marvelous. And it's not something that goes beyond, that's not achievable for anyone. We're talking about things like a straight line. It's not complicated. It's not for mathematicians. This is the start of the basic concepts of how logic is derived, how a logical formulation begins with the simplicity, and then it gets built up. But once you have the understanding of the simple, then you can build upon that, because you're building on understanding that you've already got for yourself. That's why I like this, the idea of talking about these things in this way, using logic to help us get to where we are, is a wonderful thing. And what makes it even more wonderful is there's a group of people who are perceived geniuses, cursed with high IQs, some of them, that don't seem to understand the simplicity of a straight line. Well, I think I'll rather stay at the simple end, where understanding is easy, and being able to show people how we derive at this understanding of stuff. I'll stay there. I'll stay at the bottom. If you want to go beyond this simple stuff, there are people who'll confuse the shit out of you and then tell you don't understand whenever you question them. But if you do want to try and understand the stuff and not get told that you don't understand, and try and get helped through the understanding process, then come in here, Discord, on the level. That's what we're here for. We'll only use honesty as well. There's no need for lies within this. Make it simple and make it truthful. There's no need to lie. And if anybody thinks that we're lying, come in here and have a chat with us. Keep us, catch us out. Find where the lies are. Let us know. If you think we're wrong, and you think we hold paralogisms, i.e. false conclusions that we don't know about. We don't want to lie intentionally. So if you think you can put us right, come on in again. Let us know. We'll discuss it. Okay. Have I waffled on again? Hope not. Some good viewers in. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Logic night. We did always say that logic would be a problem for a certain group of people. I think we can quite safely say now that the group of people that struggle the most with this logic is the Blue Marble science community, the scientists, the Discord and YouTube chat scientists of the Blue Marble. We know. Somebody saying no, Bev? Okay. Come on in. Let's have a chat about logic. Logic, sophistry. And obviously, I was talking to my son today, or I was talking to the guys in the chat. We do use words that we've found that may sound a little bit beyond anybody. Now, I don't particularly use big words because they sound good or it makes me sound intelligent. I use these words because I consider they've been taken out of usage, and it's deemed needed to bring them back in. I hope that I try and explain them, because I don't want to use words that cut people out of the conversations. They're meant to be inclusive words to help describe things that I personally didn't have a word for. I didn't have an understanding of, I was always trying to work out what the problem was, and it seemed like I couldn't explain it. Well, these words they've come back into the usage. They've been given to me, or us, or different people have come in with them. They've handed them to us. And these words, when you hear them, you automatically know that that's the word you've been looking for. That explains what we're talking about. So if anybody doesn't understand any of the words, don't be shy. Let us know what I'm missing out on, and I'll try and explain all of these things. If you come into the Discord, we do go over all of these words and stuff. We have been doing for quite a while. In the words and people bringing us these words, that's where the conversations start, mainly. What was the new one? SE. Is SE here? Yeah. SE, what was that? What was the new word that you came to us with? You were looking at the Gnostics, was it?
DOS,
Yeah.
like that? DOCE, he said.
Yeah. I forgot it now, believe it or not.
Docetism?
Gnosticism.
No. That was the sect, but
Docetism, or
yeah. I think that
Docetism,
one.
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Go on, do you want to explain
The
it?
one that said that Jesus was infallible because he was not a real person. He was how did they put it? I forget exactly. I don't want to butcher it. Paper probably knows better.
It was a phantasm, or
no. They denied that his incarnation, and that they denied that this incarnation was real. It was only apparent incarnation for them. So Jesus Christ had only apparent body. But from that, there is a series of conclusions or implications. Because if he had only apparent body, so his suffering on the cross was only apparent, not real, and his death was, of course, apparent and not real. therefore his resurrection was apparent and not real. So basically, they denied all basis of Christianity.
And the suffering as well. Since he
Suffering,
wasn't real, he didn't suffer. Yeah.
yes, yes. So his sacrifice cannot redeem our sins, and of course he didn't resurrect, because why? While he didn't die, so he couldn't resurrect.
Logically speaking, wouldn't there be many contemporary writings of this? Which there
There-
isn't.
There are many repetitions. So reading old Gnostic heresies is fruitful nowadays, because these heresies are and Gnostic thinking is repeatable. It repeats now in 21st century. So, and all this, for example, like Teilhard de Chardin, this kind of thinking, it is just repeating old Gnostic heresies. So if you know them, you can spot them now. Who is saying these Gnostic things, and who is repeating, and yes, so and what language is used, because they are using the same words as 2,000 years ago. So if someone doesn't know these Gnostic heresies back in 2,000 years, he may think that this is something new. For example, like this Hinduistic new things. This is old Gnosticism, very old. So this is not new. This New Age, for example, stories, this is very, very old. They are just repeating.
What goes around comes around. And there's nothing new under the sun.
Yes. Nihil novi sub sole in Latin.
Yeah, see, they've even had those old sayings for ages. They must have experienced it. That always got me, right? Within the Soros cycle, they said that they could predict eclipses, but only two every 18 years, 1 month and something, a certain amount of time. But they weren't in the same place. So this, what goes around comes around, must have gone round and come around quite a few times for them to work that out. This stuff's been going round and round and round for years.
Enough to make the Antikythera mechanism 2,000 odd years ago. I mean, and even way before that, people kept records. It's like a gear system in the sky, I call it. I mean, it's obvious, right? Anybody that films the moon or the sun or stars knows what I'm talking about.
It's got to be a functioning system of some sort.
Yeah, it's repeatable. I mean, there's no question about it. You can see it for yourself.
It's just what is, isn't
over.
it?
Sorry?
Like, you can try and explain what is, but what is just is.
Yeah, it is. All this stuff that they say they predict this, they don't predict nothing. It's just repetitive. People have marked it down, recorded it, and they know.
Yep.
This is going to happen at this time of the year. That star's going to come here. It's repeatable over and over and over.
Yep. Like Flat Fact says, yeah, they're not predicting it. It's a cycle. It just is. It's the
Yes.
same as call it logos, call it reasoning, call it whatever. It just is. You can't define an element because the element just is. It's the beginning of things that you can describe things with. It's like a straight line. Nobody made a straight line. It just is. It's one of the things that you use to explain to people. You try and explain things, but when you come down to explaining what is, when that's the thing that you use to explain things, it becomes difficult.
Listen to
Logic,
one of the.
logos is just is. Oh, go on.
I was just reading. You want to hear a Gnostic quote?
Yeah.
No
go on.
wonder papers write. They hate. The church hates them. Listen to this one. Cats have gnosis, meaning knowledge, to a degree that is granted to few bishops. That must have made them popular, no?
Cats.
Cats. Yeah. The animal, the cat.
Cats have more knowledge than most bishops, that said.
Yeah.
Yes, so this was
That would make sense.
to offend bishops. Yes,
Mhm.
so Gnostic they thought that they are so smart that and so high in knowledge that bishops could be compared to animals. So yes, this is normal Gnostic way because as I said before, they divided humankind into three sections. Best part, pneumatikos, so spiritual beings, it means them. We Gnostics, we are spiritual beings, and Christians are psychikos. It means animals, and the lowest grade helikos, flesh, only flesh and blood, nothing else. So they divided people into three sections, and only them are godlike spiritual beings, like angels. Just pride and stupidity.
Wow. The all-knowing.
Yes, yes, almighty, all-knowing, higher power, hidden knowledge, and etc.
Sounds familiar. Do you reckon they went round telling everybody else that they don't understand stuff?
Of course, yes, and they were sometimes, for example, Plato was more sincere with that because in his state, his work, the state, he just said that these philosophers who should rule the world or the state, they should, in some circumstances, to lie to people for their benefit, of course, for benefit of the people. It's sometimes better to lie to people, and of course, not saying everything they know. It's obvious. So this is very old story.
Yeah, well, that's the big lie within the Republic. It's based on, isn't it? In order to achieve their great Republic, they have to base it upon a lie. And they tell the people, they separate them to gold, bronze, silver, gold.
Yes, yes. So basically, this is about power and ruling, but in this Platonic point of view, and not only him, of course, it was that rulers should be smarter and people should be kept low. in reasoning, just to have better slaves to rule.
I don't know whether I like them or not. I guess they're just people. I put a lot of this stuff down to people writing about them after the fact. And I think I've a personal experience that people do tend to misrepresent other people. And it depends who's writing these things down. Who are the people that are documenting it?
Yes, but it is in the state of Plato, but I just brought it because this kind of thinking is not new. It's just around, I would say, from the start, from Adam and Eve, that kind of thinking. So, yes, just how to rule other people. So, in a most let's say efficient way. So the good part of ruling would be, for example, in Aristotle view, that the rulers should be really wise people. So that would be aristocracy, for example, or elite, but this elite should be real elite. But you can achieve this elite by means of fooling rest of the people. So if vast majority of the population is just dumb, then the average Joe can be the most wise philosopher among them. It's like in the kingdom of blind people, one-eyed is a king. So this kind of thinking.
Yeah, relative intelligence.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So that may be one of the curses of the guy that has a high IQ. I don't know whether he's actually sat a test and actually come back with that, or whether it's just a presumed higher IQ than the people that he's with. Who knows? Definitely know who the people are that are telling us that we don't understand things. The problem I have is when people that tell you that you don't understand things, and that thing that they're telling you that you don't understand, they give you no help to understand it. And when you do try, you don't seem to be able to understand anything about it, as though it's not really understandable. It's non-understandable.
And then they say that you have low IQ.
Yes, because you can't understand the ununderstandable.
Well, that has a lot to do with not accepting things that have no basis in fact that presented.
Yeah,
they try to explain it.
It's a strange word, isn't it? Because when you think ununderstandable, but we did this at the beginning. The understand is that you are able to stand under your framework. You have built such a good foundations that you can build the walls and put a roof on it, cover the entire structure, and you can stand under it, confident that you have an understanding that you've made that structure safe.
By the way, word understanding or understand is simply a cliche from a word substance. because substantia in Latin and substance in English means completely the same as understanding, because stantia or is standing, and the sub means under. So understand is the same as substantiate or substance. So yes, staying under.
And in the legal system, it means totally different. It means if the judge asks you, do you understand what I just said? That means you're accepting the fact that you stand underneath his rule. Totally different in the legal system.
No, I am telling about what substance means in logic. So,
Correct, yeah.
And the word in English would be standing under. So
Right.
understanding. Yes, that's the same. If you know the substance, it means you understand.
See, it's great, this talking about logic. It's a shame we don't have any of the proofless globe logicians around to come and help us. He he was going to come, but did you see his answer, in fact? Because that's something that I wanted to point out. Let me just... point this out. So he does the quote about he like documents this thing, and I say, yeah, I'd say that to anybody, and then invited him round to Logic Night tonight, and his reply in typical obfuscatory sort of non-committal, he says, I'm usually out on Tuesday nights.
What a pity.
Was it bowling night or what?
Well, it usually depicting that he's not out tonight. I would say that's what it means. It's not. It doesn't say that he's out tonight.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Hey, John, you know you meant bingo.
Good one, bro.
I'm usually out on a Tuesday night, which I'm guessing means he is usually out on a Tuesday night, but he doesn't want to come round tonight anyway.
Yeah, he's not saying whether he's around tonight or not.
Yeah. Typical. I call that a non-answer.
Misology.
Yeah.
Misology. He is afraid of logic. Night.
Yeah.
Not afraid, despise of logic.
Yes, reluctant. Yes.
Misa means like like a despise of logic. More than just hate.
I think it's bridge night.
Bridge night?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I think so. It used to be. Bridge night with his missus.
Don't these high societies play crochet or something?
I used to enjoy that game. Used to play that.
Yeah.
No, not crochet.
Bridge.
That's
bridge.
like knitting.
Croquet.
What's it called?
Croquet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
Croquet.
Betty, I didn't mean knitting. I didn't mean knitting.
Wicket.
Yeah, I'm sorry about this tonight. I mean, I don't really have much structure on. I've been, but I'm quite liking these chats. Who's that, Reverend?
Now, LC, you get your knitting right. You got to get that loop it 2 or 3 times.
3
I'ma teach
under,
you.
1 over. How does it go? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going back on mute.
I remember watching my grandma do it. She used to count all the time.
See what Blue Marble just wrote?
Yeah, he thinks we struggle with English. Yeah. What do you imagine, Blue? Come on.
Blue, on the other hand, is a master of the English language.
Mm-hmm. I guess he's coming about the Betty's non-committal answer about stuff that he usually does on Tuesdays. That's quite a good answer, that, right? Isn't it? Are you coming round? Are you coming round tonight? Well, I usually eat tea at tea time. Doesn't really mean anything. But hey, I guess Blue Marble thinks that's something to do with English, or maybe there's something else.
Maybe my explanation of understanding was bad for Blue. I don't know.
Yeah, there's nobody's got a better command of the English language than Blue.
There's quite a diverse group here. I mean, we should have a pretty good grasp.
Yeah, there's a few different languages and different languages spoken, Blue. But I mean, if you think you're the master of the English language, again, Blue, it doesn't mean anything. You can't just come in making statements that mean nothing. Well, I guess you can. I guess that's what you've been doing for ages. Perhaps that's part of the Blue Marble scientific method.
Not only for ages, forever.
Making random statements that mean nothing, with no backup, no understanding why you said them or anything. Maybe that's one of the rebuttals to when Blue Marble start doing their science. Blue Marbleists. Blue Marbleologists. And their methods of gaining knowledge. I think they normally just go, nuh-uh. Not that. We did have a few good conversations this morning. Again, they tend to come out early in the morning, the Blue Marble scientists. I had a couple of messages from a couple of different people. Some people are claiming that they can do impossible things with angles. Telling me I should learn a bit more about it. And I've looked into it as much as I can. And I've definitely come to the conclusion that you can do fuck all with an angle. It's a bit of a... it's a bit of a strong statement to make, but I mean, it's definitely something I'm willing to stand by. The measurement of an angle cannot give you a triangle. You can't form a triangle, so therefore the triangle is needed for any sort of prediction method for doing anything with, because we know the geometric understanding of what the triangle is and how it can be used. And one of those angles does not make a triangle. It's a one angle. and a one angle is useless geometrically. But I'm not up to date with all of the methods of all of these new geometries. So if anybody's willing to come round and explain any of these new geometric methods that claim to be able to do the impossible, and we're always up for discussion about that sort of method. And then there are other people that are out there calling us liars. Again, I say to those people as well, if you want to come over here and point out any paralogisms, anywhere that you think we're intentionally lying, come and point it out. We'll do it live if you want, or come in on the when we're not live. Come and talk to us about that. We're here, we're open for conversation, and I would enjoy that conversation. Oh, whatever. Is that a logical statement? Or geometric? We might be better leaving those whatever for Euclid night, but I mean we can say it, right? Whatever states an angle can be used to determine arc length without using a triangle. Discuss.
This is tautology, because an angle is arc length. So whatever, an angle can be used to determine angle. So basically what he said. Because arc length is an angle. So we are measuring angle, determining arc length. Yes.
Yeah, the would you explain it? The inclination of one straight line to another is measured as the distance between the two. Well, the distance between the two is called an angle, and can be depicted as a certain radius distance between one and the other. It is an angle.
In fact, this is angle, like degree. It is just section of a circle. So this length of the circle is rather to determine what part of the circle this arc is, and we measure this in degrees. So
well, I would say the actual length of the arc would be determined by how long the arm was.
Yes.
So the actual, when he says it can be used to determine arc length, well, you would need the length, the radius of one of the arms of your angle in order to determine arc length.
Yes, so yes, to determine arc length, the angle measurement would be required, but still this is not sufficient.
Yeah, he said called radians. In order to determine the length, you need to add in the radius, the length of the arm, to be able to tell the amount of turn within the arc.
Yes, so without knowing radius, you cannot determine arc length.
Yes.
still,
Otherwise, you're just talking as an angle. I think what they're talking about, because I've seen the way they do this, it's somewhat a mathematical trick. They determine through the use of pi that a circle has a certain distance. They then call that radians, and they relate the circle, because all circles are the same, as the length of the radius to the arc length. It's sort of how you derive pi from the diameter. Well, you just use the radius within the same formula and say that a radius would stretch around the outside, similar to the diameter. But then what you do is you measure the angle, and then you transfer that angle to the proportion of the parts around the outside, using the radius of a circle. But since the relationship is similar to pi, i.e. not a number, it's a relationship, a ratio, you just apply one ratio on top of the angle to derive a distance around the circumference. They're tricking themselves when they do this, because it becomes a little bit hard to talk about a radian without having a radius length. They're very linked together, and they're not actually talking about the radius, are you? Whatever. You're trying to play a clever little trick. Whether you've fooled yourselves with it, call it a paralogism if you want.
I would say that without number, unit number of this radius, you can just stay with this ratio only. So it gives you nothing. You have to put some real measurement under this proportion to have calculation with arc length, real arc length. Without it, you can just apply to any radius length. So it is, for me, it is useless.
Yeah, because what they do is they say there are 2 pi radians within a circle. And that's pi's already got the diameter in it. So adding 2 pi radiuses, you've already added the diameter in. There's a little bit of a mathematical trick already going on there, to use the same dimension twice, the radius and the diameter, and just to say 2, because obviously pi is the diameter and a radius is half of the diameter.
Yes, I understand, yes.
But hey, where does it get you? It's just the sophist trick. Parasophist, because it means nothing. All they're doing really is trying to find a different way to relate an angle to the circumference of a circle, which is just like you said at the beginning. It is just the same as the angle. They're trying to say it gets you a little bit more. They're trying to say quite cleverly, like the paralogists are working quite hard over time. They're trying to say that you can do something more with an angle. They're trying to say, if you can measure 360 degrees, you can tell how big the circle is.
No.
That's what they are trying to do. That's what whatever's trying to imagine he can tell other people. You can just measure an angle, therefore you know how big the arc is.
Absolutely not.
No. It doesn't work for celestial navigation, whatever. You don't know the radius length. You need the length in order to help you. But you don't have the length of the radius that you are assuming. You just have the angle. We've got the other. Who's doing that? Offending the chat. He's all right. He's not around. Gratuitous globe science faces are offending the chat. Whatever, you use that distance, that not for celestial navigation, that's celestial geometry, celestial navigation. It works for celestial navigation. That number.
And this is
What?
a number of what exactly?
You're measuring an angle. Like, where's that come from? You just pluck numbers out of the air. Or is that what you presume your circumference is, your radian?
But if this is radius of a supposedly globe Earth, it means that this is just line from the center of presupposed globe to the surface. And how the hell you can measure distance to the star with that? Just, I don't know.
Yeah. Did you get that number from your angle? Whatever? Where did that number come from? Is that the length of the arc that you got from measuring an angle? I'd say the actual size of the arc is dependent upon just doing thumbs up. Thumbs up, whatever has got a kilometer distance from measuring an angle. Phenomenal. Blue marble science, was it a method that derived from the science of the blue marble? What tool did you use to come up with that? And where was the angle? What was the angle that gave you that number? The angle that you measured that relates to what is it? 6,378.1 kilometers.
I think he will not respond.
Yeah. Actually, because, I mean, within the blue marble science, they have kilograms as being a knot weight. Yet, is it pounds? Pounds and ounces? That is a weight. So I'm wondering whether kilometers isn't a distance and like a mile is a distance. Does it work similar like that?
Maybe, yes. So,
because he's got it from an angle. Like the kilometer might be derived from an angle measurement, whereas a mile is derived from a linear distance. But I thought a meter was a linear thing as well.
Back in the day, yes, it was.
Yeah, he's not. Whatever's. He's quit with his thumbs up. Anyway, we're waiting for the blue marble science. The actual guy, the blue marble science, the person, to come up with the level horizontal debate. He's got Thanksgiving weekend this weekend coming up, so it may be next week I don't know which day to be doing it. I quite like the midweek logic night, and I'm pretty sure Blue wouldn't like to interrupt the learning midweek ones. So that leaves us Monday and Friday for next week sometime. I'm not too sure Blue would want to do it on Monday, but it depends how well his Thanksgiving weekend goes, I guess. Hopefully we'll get a chance to chat with Blue Marble.
Just name the time and place, buddy.
I did. You're not a fan of Hump Day? The Trivium. Oh, I quite like the Trivium Day. Trivium Day is about one of the best ones, I think. That's the advanced simplicity of logic. Tells you where we get all of that stuff from. I know a lot of people don't really like it. I think that's where it's at. But hey, we are trying to structure them a little bit better. I will get round to actually opening up the organon, and I've got books here that we will be going over. I wouldn't mind going back to the beginnings of the organon for Hump Day. All right.
Have you had a picture of the Trivium probably 3 weeks to a month ago you showed? Was that your copy?
Yes. Yeah. I've got a few of them here now.
I was going to tell you that's the same one I have.
I've got one, two. I've got 2 books on the Trivium, and there's 2 volumes of the organon.
The organon I don't have.
Yeah. 2 different books of the Trivium. One of them's a little bit deep, and the other one's a little bit more simplified. It's balancing the two to go out there. Oh, good. Yeah.
What did you think of that one that you showed?
Which one was that? The classical liberal arts of the Trivium, the black and white covered one.
Black and white cover.
Yeah. I think it's quite good. It leads you into the simplicity of it, because when you actually start reading the actual Trivium, it's all broke up, and it's a bit hard to read, really. It does need simplifying for us simple folk.
Yeah, the ones that don't understand.
Yeah. You did make all of this stuff as simple as possible for the most simple people, because that's where we come from. That's where I come from anyway. I know nothing, so I want to start at the beginning. Make it as simple as possible, and then the understanding will be built upon that.
You don't want to stand on the shoulders of all those giants they put before us?
Shadow giants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was explaining that to the missus, and she said you might need to explain it a bit better, because everybody's all of the understanding of the standing on the shoulders of giants to get you a lift up. Well, when we came up with the term the shadow giants, it's in that understanding that these guys that are following shadow giants, they're being handed paralogisms. They are standing on the shoulders of those shadow giants. But as you know, standing on the shoulders of a shadow giant leaves you on the floor. You've not been elevated anywhere. You are still in exactly the same position you were when you started, on your own, at ground level. The shadow giant's words and the shadow giant's shoulders don't get you anywhere. That's the idea of a shadow giant.
Don't you think they might possibly put you in a hole by starting there?
Yeah. Yeah, you imagine you're starting from an elevated position, but actually you're in the same position as everybody else. That's the concept.
And if you are in trouble, they will not help you.
Yeah. Shadow giants can't pick you up. They can't help you with any of your bruises. Can't rub your wounds. Can't pat you on the back. There's literally nothing there. And as far as the shadow giants are being touted at the minute, these shadow giants that you imagine, you might imagine they're dead. They're long gone. Well, no, these blue marble science shadow giants, they're living. They're still around, but they still won't come and help you out any. That's how much use a shadow giant is.
And they will not help, not because they don't want. They cannot. They are not able.
Yeah. Yeah, they can only push paralogisms, false conclusions, and the idea that the paralogisms are real.
But sometimes, if it is real emergency, they can send, for example, some proofless logician to help. Then he will try to prove his proofless logic to defend something, maybe.
In an attempt to make himself a shadow giant.
Yes, some people may think that he is this shadow giant we should stick to.
Yeah. He's helping the shadow giant with efforts to become a shadow giant themselves. Because that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to leave their mark. When it comes down to it, we're only here for a brief time. Everybody wants to leave their mark, put their name on something. And if you can become a shadow giant, it's very possible from the globe side. Sorry. From the blue marble science department. There are loads of them. The road is littered with shadow giants for blue marble science. They're very well presented. They're liked within this within the entertainment arena, where people talk and make it onto TV shows. Shadow giants are needed. They're necessary. Blue marble science, I do believe, is attempting to write himself into the history books as a shadow giant. He will, if he debates about level not being horizontal. I know for a fact there's no possible way that I could become a shadow giant. I'm just speaking basic logic, basic geometric truths. The stuff I'm talking about is already known. I'm just using the words of Euclid, but like we said at the beginning, Euclid didn't make a straight line. Euclid didn't make a circle or a triangle or a square. He just put down the method for everyone to access what is and prove to themselves that what is. And all of it is derived from the understanding of a straight line. Once you have that basic, simple understanding, you know that there are things that you can do for yourself to progress that knowledge of the straight line. But when you relate that straight line to a unit, the one, then you can use that knowing and that logical system to relate the one to other things. And then you can use the relativeness that you've learned through geometry to that one and the proportionality to it. You can relate everything in a similar sort of way. And you know that the relativity between one thing and another is how you define things. You say what it's similar to and then say the difference. Much as you do with the straight line, the one within mathematics. I'm waffling again. Stop me when I'm waffling.
No, but this is true. Proofs in Euclid are just stating that something has to be that way. When you draw something this way, this must happen. So basically, these proofs are explanations why these things have to be that way. So it is proof. It is proven that it has to be that way. So if you draw perpendicular lines, you will obtain right angle. So and it can be proven with logic. So yes, this is not waffling, but just stating what it is and what has to be. Because statement after statement, it is just implication of that. On one proof, you can implicate another proof, and so on and so on.
I don't know where to go from here. Have we? Has anybody got anything else they'd like to bring up? Logical, maybe contradictions or anything like that. I'm struggling as to where to go now. Okay, shall we end this then tonight? I think
Maybe. I have only question about this mass and weight conundrum and measurement, this kilograms and newtons, because maybe there is someone here who can explain me to that. What exactly would be the difference between newtons and kilograms, for example? For me, this is the same, but maybe this is different.
Good question.
it sounds like sophistry to me. It sounds like there's a little bit of a wordplay thing going on where they're trying to do this definition shift of one thing meaning something. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if you were to ask anybody out on the street what a kilogram was, they'd say it's a weight.
Did somebody say it's not?
Yeah. Yeah, Blue Marble Science was telling us it's mass, not a weight.
Kilograms are mass and not weight.
Yeah, that's what they were telling us.
And what
Yeah,
are
so-
newtons? Are newtons weight?
No, Newton's is acceleration. So
Acceleration.
it is as far as I know from school. I learned about kinetic energy and potential energy. So when you put weight on the scale, for example, it has potential energy, and this potential energy, in fact, is weight. But if the same object is moving, it has kinetic energy, and it can be expressed in acceleration. But still, this is the same object with the same weight. So for me, this newtons and kilograms would be the same, just in different state. Kilograms would be in state of equilibrium, let's say, not moving, and newtons just with moving, but still it would be the same. Weight, it would be weight still. But I don't know. I have to think it over this more.
Yeah, that entails a more extensive conversation for sure.
But still, I smell some
Trickery, yeah.
trickery, because yes, because as far as I learned about this topic, people like Blue Marble Science are equivocating mass with weight when it is needed, and sometimes with density. So, and I learned also in school that different atoms have different atomic mass. And for me, atomic mass is just different density. Because if they have this atomic core, or whatever it is called, has more protons and neutrons inside, for me, it means that it has it is more dense. So then, in that meaning, it would be density. So they have two different meanings for same word, which is tricky. I don't know, but that's me. I have problem with that, but I don't think that this mass story is very scientific.
No, I agree.
And basically it just replaced word matter, because in old days it just was matter. So, and maybe some scientists don't like word matter, and they replaced word matter with mass. I don't know.
Just a word usage, isn't it? I'd say that in order to describe something, like the Trivium would tell us, there are different ways of you describing something. Like you could have described them with weight. Yeah, you could describe them with shape. And then you have to have a way of describing them differently as well.
Yes, but still weight, it is straight measurement. It is direct measurement, weight on the scale, and volume also on the scale, and proportion between them will be density. So this is simple. But mass, for me, if Blue Marble says that this is not weight and this is not density, so for me it is still not defined. I don't know what it is, this mass.
Yeah, I think it's just a confusion thing. It's so that they can end up saying you don't understand.
Yes, I think so, yes.
But it's a science thing. It's a Blue Marble science thing. But I would say the principles of weight is also a balance in order to tell how something is relative to something else. Similar to the straight line. But with weight, you use the weight of something to be relative to a standardized weight.
Yes, that's you may make unit of weight. Just take some object like metal bar, and they said this will be 1 gram or kilogram or whatever.
Yeah.
And they put it on the scale, and if on the other side of the scale they put something else, and if it is equalized, it means that they have the same weight. It means 1 gram or kilogram or whatever. Simple.
Much the same as for measurements of distance. They standardize a meter, a foot, and then make the distance relative to those measurements. Same with weight.
I never thought
Yes,
about
yes.
the weight one. How did they establish? Yeah, that's really interesting. How did they establish, what their first determination of weight would be?
What do you reckon? Have a quick guess. What's the
Water,
standard?
gold.
First, this Greek, because gram is, of course, from Greek. So it was, I think, cubic centimeter of water. It is 1 gram, I think, if I am not mistaken.
That was my guess. It was either water or gold that they used. But the paper brought it forth better than I did.
I am not sure, because I read something about
But
that.
how did they? Oh, you said a cubic what?
Cubic centimeter of water. That would be gram.
And then they put that on a scale, and then that could. Okay, all right.
But I am not very certain about that.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. But if you have it being derived from a measurement, you have to state how they measured the measurement. Becomes tricky, doesn't it? Like, how do they find a cubic centimeter? Like, what's that as the standard? But I would agree with you. It would be the weight of a certain amount of water. Now, that would be because that is a standard anywhere. And that's how it would be used. But as we found, Blue Marble Science community were telling us that weight changed.
Yes, on the moon.
Well, no. They were saying Bob went a trip to Blue, didn't he? And they made a 5 grand standard weight change weight. That's what the test that they did. It changed weight. Blue said, he told us, the weight changed as you went further away from sea level, and it changed when you moved in a certain direction. North-south, I think he was saying. So if you go up and down vertically, weight changes. And if you go north-south, I think it was, the weight changes yet again. Yet the standard for a weight is a size or an amount of water and what that would weigh. There's a little bit of a contradiction there, but no doubt if we get to talk about these things, we might get round to discussing that sort of thing with people. All we have is questions. What seems to be, for me, a lot of contradictory statements about a model. Now, I know sometimes these guys, these blue marble scientists, these professors nowadays, they do get offended at some of these questions. The questions that sort of lead them to see the contradictions that we've seen that cause the questions in the first place. And they get upset about it. And we don't want them to be getting upset. We don't want them to feel insulted. But we do feel, I do anyway, that I sort of have a right. If I can see a contradiction, then I feel obliged to ask a question to clarify why I'm seeing a contradiction there. Because it's a problem. I'm not the sort of person that has contradictions in reality. I don't allow them in my own understanding. I don't believe contradictions actually exist. I believe contradictions are a result of a reasoning process that tells me there's something faulty. They're an imperfection within a logical structure. Contradictions. They show me fallacies that I've made within my logical framework. So if somebody else is telling me that I don't understand something, and when I do try and understand it, I find a contradiction, then I should ask a question. I would sort of expect an answer back. That's the way I came into this arena at the beginning, asking questions to try and gain more knowledge for myself. And it seems like the blue marble scientists get offended at us asking questions, and then they just have a go at us. They don't ever seem to answer the questions to clarify.
Well, that's probably because you don't understand anything now, do you?
That's true. And understand very little of the blue marble science framework. So have you seen that? I put it in the chat there. This is one of blue marble's things that I do believe we've seen it before, but this is blue marble science, the guy. But I guess when he writes things like this, you could take this as belonging to blue marble science, not just the person, but he's speaking on behalf of blue marble science, the YouTube channel, the actual science, right?
That's what I was thinking about before, that ridiculous straight line circle thing.
Yeah, circles is straight line.
I think that was it.
Yeah, he can draw a circle, and then he can draw another line the same colour that's straight. And he thinks he can just put them both together.
Circles are straight.
Yeah, just write a thing there. He says, no, Bev, they don't. Not a single profile. Because I said, all elevations show equal elevations being on a horizontal plane throughout. And he says, no, they don't. Not a single profile says that elevations aren't conforming to Earth curvature. Well, this is what we went back about earlier.
Yeah, double negative. So if they say that they are not, it means that they are. No, because you are just not talking about not existing things. That's why they aren't. They don't say that they are not conforming, not because they are conforming, but because they are not conforming. Simple.
Well, did we ever get an answer why one of their elevation profiles curved down of the bridge and the elevation profile of LIGO curved?
No. No, Blue's got two elevation profiles in the opposite. Let me see if I can get those. I'll put those in the chat.
It was just like a question kind of put out when they started doing the whole elevation profile thing, and kind of like nobody responded.
I think they've forgotten about it. Maybe they haven't seen.
I would forget about it too if I was them.
See, there's one. Let me get the other one.
I mean, which one's conforming to what? I mean, I don't. What?
Which one? That one. And that one. So these are the two elevation profiles that Blue Marble's done for us. This is Blue Marble.
Yeah.
And this one has an upwards curve. This one I do believe is a lake, Blue Marble. With I think he said this one over here is a little bit lower or higher than this one over here, even though the famous tangent, the internal tangent chord plane, that one with the hump.
One has an internal tangent, whatever deal, and the other one has toothpick tangents. Nice.
Yes. Yeah, two. One tangent on each end.
Yeah.
Yeah, one tangent all the way through, or you could put tangents at either side. You can put tangents wherever you want, really, within Blue Marble science. So this one is the one curve going one way, and this one is the LIGO elevation profile with a curve going in the opposite direction.
Well, I'll be darned.
Now, you would think
You just don't understand
that's a contradiction, wouldn't you? I mean, like, any normal person would see this as being a bit of a contradiction. Two different curves. One convex and one concave. But I don't think that's a contradiction within the globe model, because when we talk to the globe scientists, I think one of the things you have to be in order to be a Blue Marble scientist is you have to sit the diletheist exam. You basically have to become a diletheist, and then these contradictions disappear. Poof, you can't see them. So if anybody asks you about contradictions within the model, you just say, what contradiction? So that's why we never get any of these questions answered from the Blue Marble scientists. Don't think they can. I don't think they can, because I think they've been trained to not see contradictions. Yeah, Paige is pointing out, how do you draw a circle with a straight line? That's the contradiction, Brett Page, because you need the radius to be a straight line. You can't have the circumference also being a straight line. Because the radius is a straight line.
Straight line circle. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm really struggling to understand how he could draw that circle and say it's a straight line.
Only in his mind, Paige. Only in his mind.
The unanswered questions of the blue marble scientists.
Bev, what did you say?
In his picture, he just drew a straight line and he wrote C straight. Yes, this line is straight. Yes, has nothing to do with this circle.
It's at the side of the circle.
No. Okay, it is.
Look,
How did he even have a circle with only straight lines?
it's not though. This is like a sophistry trick. Right? He's literally drawing a circle and then drawing a straight line and going, look, straight line.
Yeah, look, they're both the same.
No. They're both blue. He's just saying, look, here's a straight line. Look, see, straight. That's a straight line. Yeah, it's not a circle. That's a circle. This is a straight line.
Oh, crazy.
It's because he writes circles are straight, a nonsensical statement, a misnomer at the top. It has no meaning and it means nothing, literally. But if you're willing to take it on and ask him, what the fuck are you talking about, Blue? He'll then say, well, you don't understand.
You a nonsensical statement, Bev.
Who
don't have
couldn't
that.
have a nonsensical statement? Why?
You don't have the higher education that I do, boy.
I'm happy to say I don't understand that. That's just insane.
I think that would be the normal answer. Like,
Yes, but in fact, this is just drawing, and maybe some people can associate the circle with the straight line because both of them are blue. That's it. But it is completely meaningless.
he might be able to pass this on as a paralogism, right?
No way.
Yeah. This is
No.
what shadow giants do. Shadow giants make up paralogisms that other people pick up. I don't think Blue made this. I think one of the other blue marble scientists that sit in the background. You know the type. Dog.
Blue bought it.
They hand it to him. They go, here, Blue. This shows that circles are straight. And
Well,
blue
thank you,
marbles
dog.
give it to us, yeah.
I'll take that and run with it.
That'll show Bev and the guys over there on the level. Sorry, guys and girls. And you don't mind being called one of the guys, do you, Paige? I know Emma doesn't mind being called one of the guys.
No, of course not.
Jolly good. I do mean to be everybody inclusive. We do. I think the key to all of this is women. Us guys. Same thing. We're all the same in this learning process.
We need to find a woman, though, that can be a little bit gentler with them. Because I have patience.
I think anybody that's been in this arena for long enough and has talked to people that just blatantly obfuscate the amount of ridicule these guys that give you, it's not hard for people to get a little bit jaded by people.
Yeah, it's been long enough now. They've called me every name under the sun from day one.
Yeah.
You know, like it didn't never mattered how I responded, never mattered whether I was nice, whether I tried talking to them, tried ignoring them, tried being nasty, it didn't matter. Nothing changed. So
That's strange, that, because I've heard Emma say exactly the same thing. You do try different methods to try and appease them, to get the conversation to not turn into that shit show. It doesn't seem possible, does it?
It gets nowhere, and I don't see the point when my time could be much better spent, you know, talking to you guys or other people that actually want to think about, you know, what might be going on. Not just tell me I should go back to school and read the books that I already know are wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see. Initially, when we first started this, right, and we went to Ranties, and we were talking about simple things, and I can remember we came up with Page's proof. Right now, that was a realization moment, I think, for you, but it was meant to be for everyone, right? And I'm not so sure how many people got the true understanding of what exactly happened when we did that.
Well, it took me a couple of days of, you know, one revelation after another as I thought about it, you know, and it just was, you know, one more thing on top of one more thing. I'm going, oh my goodness, tilted vertical. Holy shit.
Yeah. The geometric implications of that to the center proves that it's impossible.
Impossible.
Yeah. You can't
have impossible.
You can't have vertical and horizontal being perpendicular if you put vertical to a center point. It's just impossible.
And yet that's their foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's their foundation. Yeah.
Unless you bend horizontal.
But then perpendicular doesn't apply, does it?
Yeah, of course. And that's why they invented this. That's why they invented this perpendicular at a point, because it cannot be perpendicular to a line, because this line is curved.
Curved, yep.
Unless you have a pointicular, then you're good.
Yeah, but we need to see the geometric framework behind the pointicular.
Don't forget they start off saying straight line curves. So I mean, what's a vertical line? Is it straight or is it curved? What's the
verticular line.
Well, you have to also remember
this is curvature with a zero curvature.
No, well, don't forget that the vertical isn't part of the two-dimensional framework of the geometry that they're working on. There is no vertical component to that two-dimensional surface that they're starting off from. So vertical is a complete separate entity to the geometric structure that they're talking about. That's half of the problem, isn't it?
If they go with the surface of a sphere being 2D, yeah, there is no vertical component.
There can't. There cannot be.
Logic.
Yeah, they cannot have verticals in their spherical geometry, because vertical is outside of this sphere surface, so it is not non-existent in their geometry.
Now, having said that, how many times have you heard them say the surface of a sphere is 2D? Surface of a ball is 2D. Everything, every surface is 2D.
Because they need that curved line to be straight.
But it
Yep.
opens up a whole other problem we found a while back, was that if they're going to go with that, pi changes. They love their pi being a constant.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brenda
Big
didn't
problem.
like she didn't
No.
like the whole idea of pi changing.
And Blue bought it too. He has the variable pi, variable radii. That's the video that he made me take down. I'm gonna put it back up because I have to talk over it. I have to find time. But yeah, he didn't like that. A variable radii.
Did he come up with that after he's shorter than a straight line drive?
No, that
That
was
is
Bob.
Bob.
Yeah, it's Bob
Oh,
and
that's
Blue.
Bob.
Yeah.
Ah. Yeah, they're all the same to me.
So, yeah, blue marble scientists, just different Discord channels.
They all say the same thing.
They have to. The globe model dictates. Oh yeah, asking. Don't forget Spaghetti Boy. And
Oh,
spaghetti
yeah.
geometry.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that was hilarious. Just
How
grab
did
a
we forget?
couple of bits of spaghetti.
It's all you need.
Yeah. But let's not mock the blue marble scientific methods. Well, it's not really it's when they go into the realm of geometry and then cross the border into logic. That's where they struggle. Like, that's where I struggle with them.
Well, he thinks it's okay to use cell phone and a bit of spaghetti, but they tell me that I'm a moron when I say all you need is a protractor. Go down to the water with a protractor. They think a right angle. No, I'm stupid. That doesn't prove anything. But a couple of bits of spaghetti on a cell phone, yeah.
They're struggling. They're struggling a lot now.
Well, no. I think this is where the reaction. I think you'll be surprised, Essie. You say they're struggling, but now's normally the time where they bounce back. The Globe heroes will be spurred on to explain all of this stuff. You just watch what happens soon. All of the Globe, the ones that you've never heard of. I mean, like the guy that we've just recently had in here, although he sounds familiar, he is cursed with a high IQ. He's new and he's coming out to explain this sort of stuff to us.
He's not that new, that guy.
That's what I say. I think I've talked to him, but he doesn't want to. No, he's a new guy to this server, let's say, or that account with that name is a new guy to this server. But he does, I admit, he does seem to imagine he knows a lot more. He's definitely one of the back channel voices of the paralogism pushing for the globe model science community. I think there'll be many more to explain this. Seems like Blue Marble can't. In fact, he's gone quiet. He's not live, is he? We've lost a few viewers. Blue Marble might have gone live. Got to give Rumpus a platform.
Don't forget it's supper time here, right?
Yeah.
6:30 in the east. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting on for 3:30 here now, so we've done, 3.5 hours. 11:30. Getting on. 3.5 hours is enough, isn't it?
Well, yeah, even 3 would be perfect. Give people time to go for supper. They know from 3 to 6, and then supper time.
Okay, well, I think we'll cut it short now. Well, cut it short. I think we'll end it. Anybody got any final words? I know I said that earlier, but we seem to have gone on for a little bit longer. That's good.
Yes, because I started this mass conundrum.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
That's
I have
all right.
something
No,
to
that's
say.
good.
prolongation.
It's good.
I have something to say on that. I couldn't. I was having supper. Funny at that time.
Go on then. Go on.
Paper mass, simply put, is a magic word.
Yes,
They
I
intro-
know. I know, but I need explanation from Globers, some consistent explanation from them. How
You won't get it.
Yes, but I am still trying.
You wanna try something? Ask them, what's the SI unit for mass? If you wanna get them really stirred up. After they tell you a kilogram is not weight, ask them what's the SI unit for mass. And of course, it's the kilogram, right? Everybody knows that, right?
Yes, but so what is Newton unit for what?
Well, they want to use the Newton because they have to put something there, right? If a kilogram is not weight, they have to introduce another thing there. It's magic. I mean, everybody knows when you go to the butcher and you tell him, "Give me a kilogram of pork loin or whatever," what is he going to give you? He's going to tell you, "Sorry, I can't. I don't understand that. That's not weight. Can you please explain yourself?"
Definitely going to put it on the scales and weigh it.
Definitely. So, magic word. No matter what they tell you, it's a magic word. It has different definitions. It used to be the amount of stuff, the resistance to acceleration, all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, it's a magic word.
Resistant to acceleration, it would be inertia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that's 3 definitions right there.
Oh, don't forget that we got told to counter that you can have you can be accelerating without movement.
Yes. So
Yeah,
Blue said
that's
that.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, nonsense stuff like that. That's why they use the word mass, to trick people. Don't be tricked by that word.
No, I am not, but I am still trying to pull from them some statement about that to spot contradiction or maybe learn something new. Who knows?
Yeah, good luck. No, the only thing I've heard is a Newton. That's it. That's the only explanation that I've heard. And they switch. When you try to tell them what's weight, they'll go with this, and then they'll switch it back to that. And yeah, well, you weigh so much here, but if we go to the moon, you're gonna weigh so much. I go, have you been to the moon? It's all trickery, wordsmithing.
Yeah, I mean that sounds good to have a Newton, a name of something, but not a weight. Like to make up something to put your name to. It sounds amazing within the Blue Marble Scientific. See, that's how you put your name to something, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a weight.
Eternal.
Yeah.
It's an acceleration. Let's call it a Newton.
Like Pythagoras.
The theorem. Yeah.
Be forever linked to something. I think that's what Blue Marble Science is after, but I mean, he's not going to do so well. I suppose he could claim he's already done it.
He has. His name is in the university. He's going to go down as the seismometric.
Yeah, Blue Marble Science. Like, Blue Marble Science made this. The science, the entire body of the blue... No, just the guy. Yeah, but Blue Marble Science is Blue Marble Science, they'll be saying in the university. And then the guys will be going, no, it was just a guy that was called Blue Marble Science. And they'll say, yes, exactly. This
They'll
is
be saying
science.
he improved on Cavendish. He made it a dual purpose machine.
Yeah, you got it to measure earthquakes too.
He said that earlier
got it.
today in the text, I think. He said in the chat. He said that every seismometer, everyone picked up that earthquake.
Every single one, huh?
Every
Wow.
one of them. So his, being a seismometer dish, was bound to pick it up. Wobbling walls of Blues Garage.
Cheeky, yeah.
He turned on music too loud. That's why his garage was moving.
I think so, yeah.
And his fridge compressor started at the same time upstairs.
And the garbage truck drove past.
Oh yeah, the garbage truck. I forgot about that one. Yeah.
But I don't think the garbage truck goes. I think he's got like a big, massive mile drive or something that garbage trucks don't go that close to.
That's right. He did say that. No, we don't get garbage trucks here. What are you talking about? Yeah, he did say that. Yeah.
And what about aeroplanes flying low this day?
It's a no-fly zone over Blue's house.
Yeah, he checked every variable. And it turns out PhD Tony told him it was definitely an earthquake. And Chaiki confirmed that the walls moved. It's all like a full team effort. You know how Blue Marble science works. Okay, before we get ourselves into trouble. Don't anybody final words? Again, last time. This time we are going to be ending it.
My cheeks are hurting from laughter. That's my final words.
What day is it? I have to think. It's Tuesday. 11:37. It's been a great day today. Thank you very much for joining us. Just briefly going over a few contradictions within the logic. I think we'll be doing more of this. We'll be focusing more on the fallacies, sophistical refutations of the Blue Marble science kind. Tomorrow is Hump Day. Trivium. I think we're going to have a go over Trivium. I don't know how exactly or where, but we're going to have to start going over that properly to get a better understanding. So please join us tomorrow for the Trivium. As always, conversation will be going on into the Discord channel afterwards. Come and join us for that. All day tomorrow we'll be in the Discord if you want to come and have a chat. You know where we are. And join us tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Same time. Trivium night. Buster's going to sing us out. Logos. Thank you very much. Join us tomorrow.
It's the echo in your brain. You know you can't sustain the misconceptions in your mind. One day you'll see for sure what all of this was for. Then you can leave it all behind. The journey begins. I am the one, yeah, that will show the proof. I am the one, yeah, that is searching for the truth. I am the whispers of the logic in your mind. I am an agent of the Logos. In the beginning was found this thing that cannot speak. It's how we all truly learn. It's only ever attained when one lets go of fear. So don't let wisdom pass you by. The journey begins. I am the one here that will show the proof. I am the one here that is searching for the truth. I am the whispers of the logic in your mind. I am an agent of the Logos. It was there all along. How could I never have seen this thing that's danced all around? It wasn't until I left behind the things I believed that I could see things so clear. The journey begins. Become the one here that will show the proof. Become the one here that is searching for the truth. Become the whispers of the logic in their minds. Become an agent of the Logos. Become an agent of the Logos. We are the agents of the Logos.